So it's been a while. I just got done watching the Madrid City game. It's a nice day out. Daylight savings just happened. Sun is out a lot later. Weather's starting to get good. And what did I do? This afternoon I spent this afternoon watching Real Madrid versus Man City, expecting my team to put out a good performance. As maybe I'm a Man City fan, but this will be an overall reaction to all the Champions League games. But um, yeah, I got a lot to talk about here. A lot to talk about. I just kind of been sat here just digesting what I just witnessed on my screen. I don't know how many of us expected today's results. I don't know how many people saw it coming, but yeah. Before I get into full credit to Madrid today. Honestly, I think when not many people, including most of their fans, really gave them a chance in this game, they really turned up today. Shout out to Fede Valverde. Incredible performance today, especially the third goal. Incredible goal. And yeah, I thought the whole Madrid team played incredible from top to bottom. The only blemish is Vinny missing that fourth penalty, missing penalty to make it 4-0 on aggregate. But yeah, I really just want to talk about City here because mainly where my frustrations are. But full credit to Madrid today. Brilliant performance. Now, I don't want to get too much into individual performances because I thought today was mostly on Pep. I don't understand the lineup at all. The back line, I'm fine. Honestly, the back line, my decision on the back line coming into this game, I don't think it was terrible. Honestly, if we're missing, try to go O'Reilly at left back and Gustavo right back, I don't mind it from this perspective. If you were going to make the argument, oh, well, Nunez, he can get God defensively. If you think Vinny's going to be a key player, you want to match up, you'd rather have Gustavo defending Vane than Mateus Nunez. Okay, I hear that. I don't know why Aiden is not playing. Not to discredit Nico O'Reilly. I wish O'Reilly was playing in midfield. He's in recent games, he's been playing in midfield. He's been our best player. So I don't understand why we're showing him back at left back, especially when Aiden has also been great since he's been able to establish a position in the team. And then you have the front line. So for me, this is the biggest problem. Now, look, Doku versus Trent, that's always a matchup that you want. Today, I think Trent held his own. I think Doku had him at times. I think Trent did well at other times. So I think that was an entertaining battle overall. As for these two, though, so Savinho, Semenyo. Now, this is my problem. If you're going to put Savinho and Doku out on the wings, right? If you're going to go with that, then why are you playing Semenyo to the middle? This is my biggest problem with Semenyo, especially today's joint City. I don't know why Pep continues to be putting this guy in like an inside attacking position. This guy cannot play to the middle. Can't. You've seen in past games where it's usually Holland, Semenyo, Marmoush, or it'll be Holland, Semenyo, Cherky. Some version of that three where you have Semenyo kind of operating as this like player who operates behind Holland, right? Trying to be playing in between the lines. He can't do that. Semenyo, for me, his like, if he's not scoring or if he's not getting an assist, we're playing with 10 men. I'm going to be honest. We're playing with 10 men if he's not getting a goal or an assist. His first touch is awful. The problem with playing Semenyo in these areas of the pitch is if you play the ball into him, he can't play with his back to goal. And his touch is terrible. His touch is terrible. So I don't understand why Pep keeps insisting on Semenyo inside. You saw in the first half, we could not build up to the middle. We couldn't build up to the middle. Holland is already, because of the way we deploy Holland, is mostly a passenger-driven build-up anyways. You add Semenyo on top of that, you're building up with 9 players, including the goalkeeper. You're building up with 9 players because Holland is just stays in this space. Semenyo, I don't know where Semenyo is half the time in build-up. I don't. So you end up with, whether it be Rodri, Diaz, Gahey, they end up just forcing a ball out wide to the wings, where Savinho and Doku are just double team. Now, with Savinho, I understand he had a great game against Newcastle, but it's one thing playing away Newcastle in the FA Cup, right? In whatever it was, the 5th round, something like that. And it's another going away to the Bernabeu in the round of 16. Had a great game against Lewis Hall, but if you've watched Savinho this season, Leopard does not change his spots with Savinho. He doesn't. So I don't understand when you have the likes of Ryan Cherky and Omar Marmoush on the bench, and they're being sacrificed for Savinho away against Madrid. I don't understand it. I don't. Now, if I get into the goals, I think Valverde's second and third goal, I think they're just both brilliant finishes, especially the third. I don't really think we can get into Gahey. The occasion got to him today. We'll be honest. He hasn't put a foot wrong per se, so I won't go too much into him. But today, I think the moment was too big, and then Diaz is just not good enough. The first goal, I don't understand. Donnarumma was, first of all, let me preface this. Donnarumma has been brilliant for City. He's been great for City ever since we signed him, and every game you always see him making like at least like 1-2 world-class saves. But today, this was his worst performance in the city shirt by far. By far. Long ball over the top. O'Reilly gets cut out. But you have Valverde bearing down goal. Now, what do? First of all, you're a goalkeeper, right? The ball is knocked into the box. Go with your hands. I don't understand why he's going with his feet. Secondly, if you are going to go with your feet, Valverde is running at a full sprint. You know he has to knock the ball forward. So why are you trying to meet him at where the ball is at his feet? Do you get what I'm saying? Because he has to knock the ball forward. So slide in front of the ball. If you see him, he just misses the ball. He slides behind the ball. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And it's just an open goal. And then we get into the penalty incident. Right. Look, Vinny in that situation, it's very difficult to defend, but he gets away. I don't understand the first goal. And for me, like the first goal, all of a sudden you saw this team, they capitulated. Second half. For me, after 25 minutes, I've already seen enough of Semenyo playing here. I already told you the problem is the build-up. Our only ally is Doku. As I said, Holland, when we use him, he's mostly a passenger in build-up. Semenyo, if you deploy him here, he's just ineffective completely. I'm done seeing Semenyo playing as an inside number 10. I just don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to see it anymore. And I don't care how many goals and assists he's scoring since he's joined C. For me, if you watch him, he looks awful. He looks awful. Leeds is a perfect example of that. Leeds, he scored the goal against Leeds 1-0. But if you look at the rest of the game, he was terrible. He was terrible. I don't get it at all. For me, you have an issue here, right? So I'm like, you can either go with Turkey, you can go with Marmoush, right? One of the two. Turkey, he's been in class for us all season. He's been in decent form. I don't know why Tiani Reinders is the one being chucked on at halftime. I have nothing against Reinders, but you have a player who's out of form. You chuck him into a game where you're 3-0 down away the Bernabeu, you expect them to do something. When you have Turkey or Marmoush, who scored 2 goals away in Newcastle on the weekend, right? I know I'm a hypocrite because this is Savinho had a good game, but come on, between Marmoush and Savinho, who's a better player, let's be real. I just don't understand how Turkey doesn't get subbed until the 70th minute. You're waiting 70 minutes. You see, you watch this game where we're completely ineffective, and you wait 70 minutes to bring on Ryan Turkey. In terms of the prospects in return, like, yeah, it's done. It's done. The problem with this City team, this specific City team, is they can't score 3 goals. They can't score 3 goals, especially without conceding. It's impossible. City this season, a lot of their performances have been, I would say, very controlled in the sense like, okay, we'll win 1-2, 2-1, something like that, and the game will just be controlled. I don't think City can play at the intensity effort required to come back from 3 goals down. I don't think City can maintain over 90 minutes. They haven't proved it. We've seen the last 2 months, like first half City, second half City. You see a drop off from City in the second half almost every single game. So I can't see a way where City have the intensity to play a 90-minute game and score 3 past Madrid without conceding. I know we're strong at home this season. I just don't see it. I really don't see it. Maybe that's another reaction. Maybe I'll feel more optimistic going into the game. But honestly, if you ask me now, it's City or done. I just don't see a way to see it. This version of this City team to score 3 past Madrid unanswered. Especially when this Madrid team most likely will add Jude Bellingham next week, potentially Mbappe. We'll see what his condition is. But even without Mbappe in June, I still think it's impossible. So, yeah. This ruined my day. Moving on to this game. This game was this was a fun to watch. I had this one on my second screen. I was mainly while I was getting mad, say this blockbuster of a game was going on. And honestly, from what I saw, Chelsea, I don't think Chelsea played awful. I just think PSG, this was trouble winning PSG, especially coming off a loss against Monaco on the weekend. I think this PSG team, they really will respond. You saw John Neves back in the team. You saw Dembele back in the team. This is pretty much their strongest lineup. I thought Chelsea today just got hit by individual quality. Barcola opens the scoring in 10 minutes with an outrageous finish. Like, would you ever expect Barcola to come up with a goal like that, given his track record? No. Chelsea just shocked, right? And Chelsea did well to respond through Malo Gusto. I thought Chelsea in the first half played pretty well. But, again, the difference in quality is the second goal. The second goal by Dembele. Now, it all starts with a cut back to Palmer. Palmer shoots a straight at Sararanov, right? PSG go up the other encounter, and you watch Dembele up against Fofana. I'm not going to try to take a shot at Palmer here, but you look at the parallels chances. That's the difference between Palmer, who's a good player, and then Dembele, who's a balance player. This is what you saw from Dembele there, 1-on-1 against Fofana. That's world class. You know, Chelsea do well to get back in the game through Enzo Fernandez, but again, keeper mistakes, man. Jorgensen. We'll get into more. I already talked about Donnarumma. Once we get to Athletic Spurs, we'll also talk about keepers, but at this level, I don't think there's ever been a team in the Champions League that's ever won the competition with, let's say, a scrub of a keeper. I just think it's impossible. Like, the closest maybe is like Liverpool when they made it to the final of Karius, and then you saw what happened. In these games at this level, like, rocking up these big games with these bozo keepers, you're just asking for trouble. You saw one mistake, PSG capitalized. Vitinha, great chip over the keeper, makes it 3-2. And then when you're PSG, you have the luxury to bring off Kavicha Kvaratskhelia off the bench. Wow. The fourth goal, the fourth goal for PSG, but his first goal. That's probably the best goal we've seen in this round of Champions League. Unstoppable finish. And then, at the end, like, if you're Chelsea, right? If you want any sort of hope, you just gotta leave there 4-2. 4-2, like 2 goals down. If you want any glimmer in the second leg, just leave 2 goals down, is what it is, right? You have to focus for the last 3 minutes of regulation. You have to. And then simple cut back to Kvara from Hakimi. Jorgensen again. Should have got a stronger hand on it. And this tie is pretty much done. I don't see a way Chelsea can overturn a 3-0 deficit to PSG. I think for them, their focus is, again, I think we just saw PSG at their absolute best today, and just Chelsea were just unmatched. Before I get on the Leverkusen Arsenal, let me just give a quick shout out to Bodo. I didn't watch this game, but, if Arsenal come up against them in the next round, they'll give them a game, especially away at Bodo. Yeah, it's going to be a hard one. For me, this one's done. Pretty much, we're going to see the same thing in the second leg with them against Inter, where, they put on the battering at home and then they park the bus away. I just think this one's over, unfortunately, for Sporting. Here, it's just Bodo. And look, they're not even just a team that started with the artificial pitch. They actually do play some good football. So, full credit to them. It's a great story in the Champions League. But what's not a great story is this game. Honestly, our Arsenal got away with it in this game. Arsenal, their attack, you just never thought they were going to score. Leverkusen got unlucky. They took the goal off a corner. Unlike Arsenal, where Arsenal fouled the keeper, it was a perfectly legitimate corner goal. I thought Leverkusen deserved to win today off the course of the play. I thought their patterns of play were very good. I thought their defense solidly. I thought Andrić, Tessoba, and Kwanzaa were all great. I thought Grimaldo had a great game. I thought Palacios, for me, was my man of the match. And even Kofane, I thought he caused a lot of problems to Gabriel and Saliba. So he was a bit of a nuisance. But with Arsenal, right, for me, the problem is just their attack. Saka today, and we talk about Saka the whole season, but today he was awful. I don't understand what happened to him this season. And if Arsenal go on to win the league or any other trophy this season, it'll be in spite of Saka, their proclaimed best player. When Madueke comes on, we'll get into the penalty incident in a second, but he's rated more than Saka in the first 10 minutes of his substitute cameo. So that Saka did for the entirety of the game. I just don't understand what's going wrong with Bukayo Saka right now. Yet again, Martinelli, I just don't really rate him. I just don't think he's a great player. And then these two, unless it's Spurs or any relegation fodder team, you're not really going to see them turn up. So we'll get to the penalty, which is, look, it's a completely soft penalty. Arsenal got really lucky. Like I said, they had no chance of scoring. And if this game is 1-0 going into the return leg, I think it's a bit of a problem for Arsenal. I probably would still favor them to go through, but, now 1-1, I think really Arsenal playing at home in the Emirates against Leverkusen, who, as good as they are today, are not really going to have enough to overpower Arsenal, especially at home. I think it will be a tightly contested game. I don't see Arsenal blitzing Leverkusen at all, especially with their current attacking situation. All to play for, but really, I think this one's done. I think Arsenal have 1 foot in the quarterfinals as they avoid defeat here at Leverkusen today. Now, on the yesterday's matches, now we have Liverpool Galatasaray. Looking at this game, really not surprised by this Liverpool performance. I think if you've been watching Liverpool all season, this shouldn't really be that much of a shock. Galatasaray at home have proven to be a nuisance. Now, I'll get into what I think the second leg will go in, but let's just talk about this game first. Honestly, this is one of the best strikers in Europe. Victor Osimhen, one of the best strikers in Europe. I'm Nigerian. I watch him for Nigeria. Incredible player. He can be playing for any top club in the world. And I thought he ran Konate and Van Dijk rapid. I thought Konate had a howl every game. For me, my biggest problem with Liverpool yesterday was their attack. I think this season their attack has been overly lethargic, slow. I know that's the way Slot plays, but I think this season has been a massive problem, especially with the dip in form from Salah, Gakpo. With Salah being, let's just call it, he's washed now, unfortunately. And the consistencies from Gakpo and Verts. A lot of Liverpool's attack, this season, the success of it is relied on whether or not Ekitike is having a good game or not. Now, my issue with Ekitike, I think, look, if you watch Ekitike, you look at me, you obviously know the qualities there. He's a brilliant player. My biggest criticism of Ekitike is if he ever wants to be, let's say, a constant 25, 30 goal all comps goals striker, he needs to have a little bit more nastiness, a little bit more of a scrappy game to him in the sense you see elite strikers, most of their goals they're not really fancy. You see Ekitike, he scored all these fancy goals, and that that's a weird criticism. But for me, if you have Ekitike bearing down goal 1-on-1, you had a big chance. You have to put that away. The best strikers in the world put that goal away. If you had Holland, that's a goal. If that's Julian Alvarez, that's a goal. Even the likes of Dembele, I know he's not a 9, but he plays up top. That's a goal. For me, Ekitike, especially even in not just this specific game, but other games, I think he can improve his presence in the box. I think his heading could be improved. I think his positioning could be improved, especially in the box. But again, Ekitike, I don't want to single him out here, but great link-up player, great dribbler. But he's not the biggest problem in this team. Now, the biggest problem in this team, again, are Verts, Salah, Gakpo. Now, Salah, don't understand. I don't know if you've ever seen a drop off this dramatically from a player. You got a player who is having a Ballon d'Or campaign, PFA player of the season, and also now he's a shell of himself, absolute shell of himself. And if you're Slot, right, and you're chasing the game, I don't understand taking Salah off and then shipping Frimpong right wing. First of all, with Frimpong, he's not a right winger. He's a wing back. I still don't understand why Liverpool signed him. I just don't really see where he fits in the team because he's not right back. He's not a right winger. I just don't really know what he offers in terms of because he doesn't have a position in this team. And then you bring on Gakpo, and then you talk about Gakpo this season, like just forget about it. And again, I think, look, he's been Liverpool's best player this season, undoubtedly. But here's my thing with Southside the 10. At the 10, he offers nothing creatively. I don't think he's a good progressive passer. I think, again, Southside's been attributes, obviously, like his shots from range. He's a workhorse. He's usually a 7 out of 10 player most of the time, but I think today he was very sloppy on the ball, just deep as easily, and I just think offered nothing for Liverpool. And then these two at the back. Now with Van Dijk, where I think we're starting to see the decline of Van Dijk. I think there's some games where he shows his quality, but there's other games where maybe he's not that best in the world defender that he once was. And then Kanate for me, he either drops like let's say an 8, 9 out of 10 like absolutely world class performance, or it's an absolute howler. I don't think there's an in between with Kanate. His performances are so volatile. And look, we know Kanate maybe he has got a couple bozo moments in him, but physically, right? Osman bullied Kanate. He ragdolled Kanate today. We'll see what happens in the second leg. If Gala wanted a chance to go through, I'll be honest, I think they need to win by more than a goal. I don't think taking a goal to Anfield is enough. Not because I think Anfield is this place where teams crumble, especially under in the Champions League lights, but rather because Galatasaray, when they play away from home this season, they're absolutely shelled themselves. It's two different teams. Galatasaray when they're at home versus Galatasaray when they're away. Two different teams. You saw it against Juve. They are up 5-2 on aggregate. They played half the game with a man up, and they still went to extra time with Juventus having a 3-goal lead and playing 11v10. I think Liverpool will have enough to go through just off the fact that I think Galatasaray, they just won't have the same intensity playing away from home. But I don't see if this Liverpool team matches up against that PSG team in the next round, they're getting sent packing. I just don't see a way Liverpool can beat PSG if they were to get through. Now onto this one. I was laughing at this performance. I'm not really laughing now because what I saw from City. But with Spurs, it just gets more and more depressing. More if you're a Spurs fan right now, I feel bad. I feel bad for you. Well, actually, I don't know how much I feel bad because for some reason, anyways, this is the man of the man of the match, if you will. This is a funny game, right? So Vicario, he's been drawing big clangers game after game. I think a lot of Spurs fans were happy with Kingsley starting. If you look at the lineup, it's the first time we saw Romero and Van de Ven play together in how long because, one gets suspended, one gets injured, right? Usually you don't see them together. I think you looked through this game when you came into this game as a Spurs fan, you thought maybe we can get some out of this game. You thought the Champions League, almost like a clean slate, maybe a distraction from the league, let's really go out, maybe get a result against the Lake, try to build momentum to kind of save our season. And when I say save our season, kind of be able to dig our way out, dig Spurs out of this relegation fight. But yeah, it only took about 6 minutes for FA to score, and it was at Tottenham's own doing. You saw Spurs trying to play out the back, gives the ball away, goal. Spurs give away the ball again. Van de Ven slips 2-0, and then literally off kickoff, Kingsley just miscontrols the ball. Open net for Alvarez. If you're a Spurs fan, I don't know how you watch this. This is literally a championship team playing in the Champions League. It's insane how worse and worse it can get for Spurs every single week. And look, with Tudor hooking Kingsley off, I think it was the correct decision. I think a lot of people are looking at this he's a kid, you ruined his career, right? What is Tudor doing? First of all, I don't know what Tudor can do when you just give 3 goals away in the first 15 minutes. You literally hand the goals to the opposition. Tudor can't go on the pitch and kick the ball himself. And for me, you have a goalkeeper, 22-year-old goalkeeper, who has had the worst moment in his whole life. His head is gone. You have no idea what the scoreline can be. It's only 50 minutes in the game. You have 3 more minutes and a half. It could be 7-8-0 by halftime. You have to do something. You have to react. Now, you could argue and say maybe Tudor should have embraced him when he came out the field. I hear that. But to be honest with Tudor, I don't really blame his head is probably Mars after watching what he just saw. And look, full credit to FLA. They had Lookman in January, who's been fantastic for them. We know the quality of Julian Alvarez and Griezmann today. Roll back the years, honestly, linked to MLS the past month and then today, especially I believe it was the fourth goal where Spurs had a big chance for Ro16. I think it was a header or straight All Black big save. I flag up the other end. You saw Griezmann flicking on the Alvarez. Alvarez goes up and scores. And yeah, I think this one is done. You're gonna tell me Spurs are gonna really pull up a 3-0 comeback against FLA. At this point, they need to really focus on the league. They're in a serious danger of going down. I think Forest and West Ham are embarrassed for one of them, and even Leeds. Yeah, the misery just keeps going and going. Look, I'll just touch up on this game real quick with Bayern. For me, they're the favorites to win the Champions League. Even before a ball was kicked, they were my favorites to win the Champions League. Today, especially without Kane, you kind of saw a team where it's like, okay, really Kane is like been the face of Bayern ever since he's joined. But then you saw today that, wow, this is a fully complete team. Like, even without Kane, like this team from back to front, they have no weaknesses in every single position. They have quality all across the pitch. Michael Olise, what a player. What a player. And look, Atalanta, I think they did well to come back against Dortmund. I think maybe this one was a step two. I think Bayern just have too much quality for Atalanta. They gave it a real go. I don't really understand why they deployed a 4-4-2. They've been playing a 3-4-3 under Palladino. I don't know why they switched their formation this game. I think Palladino maybe overthought it. Credit to Bayern, pretty much all which confirmed to be in the quarterfinals, most likely up against Madrid. That'll be a tussle. I think Bayern have a real chance to win the whole thing, and they're on for a treble themselves. Pretty much Bundesliga wrapped up. All right, and on to the final game, Newcastle Barcelona. I was kind of shocked how poor Barcelona were today. Newcastle, for me, ever since they lost Bruno Guimaraes, I think there's been a drop off in the team, especially in the level of intensity. But today we saw all the intensity in the world from Newcastle. I thought they were brilliant. But with Newcastle, I think lacked the quality. Now Alenga, I'll never understand why this guy went for 65 million. I won't. Look, I think he's a good player, but 65 million for Anthony Alenga, like, come on. And you saw it. The amount of times this guy would break through, be bearing down on goal, and you see him just like lackluster shot or make the wrong decision. I think you saw Tonali, especially Tonali today. He absolutely bossed him. I thought Joelinton had a good game. And then Lewis Hall, wow. What a player. What a player. We could talk about him, Nico O'Reilly starting for England at left back. For me, I think he's the more natural left back. So I honestly think he has a good shot to be starting for England in the World Cup. Up against Yamal, who I think is the best player in the world. He did a hell of a job against. And look, with Barcelona, they just never really seem to get a foothold in this game. Usually you see Barca, especially with Pedri, they're able to really control games. I think Newcastle struggle against teams that really can control and keep possession of the ball. But I don't think Barcelona played bad. I just think they were lackluster. If I had to single out two players who I thought were really bad, I think Rafinha today. I saw him last season. It seemed like everything that he touched turned to gold, whether it be a goal, he'd be Mr. Clutch. And today, just wrong decision. The amount of times he would get the ball and you just see him overhit cross, lackluster shot, lose the ball, get depossessed. A hard watch to watch with me on the left wing. And then Lewandowski, I think Father Time unfortunately is caught up. One of the best strikers I've ever seen in my lifetime. But today, I think really showed that maybe in these games he's not really he's almost like a non-factor today. Like when you're crying out for Ferran Torres over Lewandowski, I think that's really kind of shows you the state of where he's at. And Barca, off the bench, Olmo, Rashford, Casado. I know Olmo won the penalty, so he was able to make a difference. But then in terms of once Pedri came off, and I thought Rashford didn't really add much to the game. There's been an over-reliance on Pedri. I think Pedri's been Barca's most important player, both offensively and defensively. And once he comes off the pitch, I think Barca really had no chance of winning the game. Newcastle, I think they scored a winner through Harvey Barnes, but then Martial gives them a penalty. Yamal scores it. All to play for in the second leg. I think Newcastle. I still give Newcastle a bit of a chance. I still think with this Barca team, the way they play is so let's say volatile with the flick high line, and Newcastle do have players who can hurt them like Barnes, Lang. I know, and I expect Gordon maybe to be starting the second leg. I think I wouldn't give Newcastle 0% chance to go through, but I think Barcelona, what they can do at home. You saw what they did against Athletic, even though they didn't go through in the Copa del Rey. I think they can really put on a show. They could blitz Newcastle. I think it's a tall task for Newcastle. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would favor Barca and be going through to the next round. So yeah, that's all I got for the Champions League. I mainly just want to talk about City, and I'll see you next video later.